All right, guys. Today is February 15th, 2023. Currently running a long that's in profit, and we're going to see if we can't bank on it. But let's go get it. Let's talk about this. So on the left-hand side of my screen, I've got my buy side drawings. On the right-hand side of my screen, I have my sell side drawings. These are the 1 hour higher time frame outlook that I've got open here. The last bit of activity really that we had was as we created this sell primary range in here, we pushed up past that range, taken its liquidity, and we have mitigated the open right here, the open of this higher time frame sell primary. So it's a good place to consider shorts. As we were thinking short from that point, we're looking to enter sell primaries, we're looking for sell entries, all the rest of it. And so not really interested, now I'm over on my buy side, not really interested in seeing anything other than where price could react from. In here, there's a clear buy primary. You can, even though you can see it on, you can't see it on this chart. This is the 1 hour. You can just tell by looking at the wicks here that we had a range, an initiation, a breaker structure, and then this range came in over the top of it and took it. So we expect to bounce from here, right? I was expecting a bounce or a hold up point. I was literally expecting prices maybe to come up over the top, taking new liquidity before initiating back down. That was our expectation. So what's happened is we've actually just broken structure beneath there, and now we've mitigated something on the lower time frame right at this bottom sort of range here that is giving me an understanding that we should be initiating higher prices. Where it will go, who knows? Maybe it will just take liquidity, maybe it won't, maybe it will just comes up to mitigate and pushes back down. Either way, I'm just following what price action's been giving me. So with that said, let's look over to the lower time frames. We can talk about this trade, but we'll talk about all of the trades today, in which there were 1, 2, 3. So 3 break evens, and this is already break even or is going to end up in the 10R situation. Okay, so I'm just paying commissions today so far, and hopefully this will, like I said, will bank out and will be a 10R by the time this the video is done. Let's put a little alarm up here. My broker will go off on my phone anyway, but it's always nice to have an alarm set. So let's talk about buy, sell, buy. Okay, so let's get it. So first of all, here's my buy screen. We've come down for for a mitigation down here of, I believe this was the buy primary. Now I've already cleaned up my chart somewhat because yes, so here it is. Here's that buy primary. So we've come down and mitigated a buy primary, right? It's a deep mitigation of the buy primary, which tells us that we can start looking for initiation, deep and fast initiations away. So if we start getting that kind of activity, then we're going to be inclined to think this is for sure the new low, and that we should be building upon that, right? So building upon higher prices. So sure enough, we get the mitigation, deep mitigation, boom. Doesn't give me present an entry for me at this time, and initiates away. We can see that cause is being built over here, and then this range happens. They come in, they take all that liquidity, they break on themselves, and then break on major structure. So now we've got a buy primary. Okay, the buy primary is a range that took liquidity from something that's previously ranged and initiated and broken structure. So there's these two ranges here check the boxes as to the first setup portion of our buy primary, and then this range that comes down in here takes the liquidity, mitigates something, and initiates away, breaking on itself and then breaking swing structure, gives us an activation of this area. So what am I thinking? Well, I'm looking at the last known range inside of this primary. So this primary actually formed down to here. So this is the B leg. So we start from here, the A leg down to the B leg. B leg closes here and pushes up breaking structure. So now we're looking for what happens between this B leg and this C leg. C leg is over here where this broke. Over here, the high of this range broke. And so as soon as this happens, we're looking between B and C. What happened between B and C? And as you can see, I've identified one range in here, boom, and this is the range I'm looking to play off of. Okay, because why is that? So two things. If price comes down here and goes lower than this, and it's a deep mitigation, I consider that to be a deep mitigation, and I'll be looking for higher prices immediately. Okay, so that's a good place to mitigate, a deep mitigation. If we just mitigate this area here, this is a fantastic mitigation as well. This is what we expect to mitigate. This is standard price action. This is like forming a buy primary, and this is where we expect higher prices just to keep initiating from. So if I start seeing something like an entry modal occur inside of this area here, I'm taking it all day long. Sure enough, it's exactly what we get. So let's go over here, zoom in a little bit. Now you can see I've got looking for a buy entry. I just wrote this. This was early on in my trading day. And I wrote, let's just, we're looking for a buy entry. Let's see what happens, right? So I write that in here, really just trying to help myself, give myself some annotation. And here's the primary that forms, right? So down here, we get this range, initiation, break of structure. That adds liquidity above here. Now, if we were looking on an even lower time frame, you'd see this much clearer. But suffice it to say, this is an inside bar. What's an inside bar? It's a range. It's where price is initiated down, decides to do something like this before continuing away. That is what an inside bar is, right? It doesn't really matter what time frame or what's going on. It's all relevant to what time frame you're looking at right now. So we've got this range, initiation, break structure on the 15-second chart. 15-second chart, price comes in over the top of that, takes a liquidity, right? Which makes a buy primary, a sell primary. Now, if this sell primary is going to work, it's going to do what? It's going to activate on itself by breaking structure on itself first, and then it's going to break swing structure, which is down here. But as you can see, there is an unwillingness to break that structure. And so we can conclude that this is an actual buy primary. The buy primary breaks on itself and eventually breaks swing structure. You can conclude swing structures here, 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 here. Anyway, so this is now an active range. However, as this was forming, because this is my entry modal, I understood that it didn't want to break below here. I understood that we'd just taken liquidity from the top. And so as the price comes to here and shows that unwillingness and initiation away, breaking structure, there was structure right here, a wick was right here, and it broke structure, immediately, boom, I enter. I'm very interested. I could have entered right here at the low. That would have been the absolute best entry. Instead, I chose just to enter at a market entry right there. And then as I saw price just sort of hanging around, I thought it was going to just initiate away. So I get in my trade. Great. I go break even by the time we've broken structure up here. They come back on me, and I think I got taken out around here. So bummer for me, didn't work out. Had my take profit only set at the breakup here of the high. And the reason for that was I was looking for shorts. You know, if I look on this time frame here, look on this chart, the higher time frame look, we're initiating short sells. You know, we've mitigated something, we've strongly initiated away, and you can see we're just initiating short. So my bias is always short. So that's the reason for the 5R take profit there. Price then rolls over on me, and let's now jump to my sell side, because I'm always hunting, right? I'm hunting for both sides. Definitely looking for sells, right? Absolutely looking for sells. Oh, beg your pardon, this one wasn't an entry there. Nope, this was not an entry at all, but we can talk about it. So let's go down to 15 seconds. Yeah, I remember these. These are funny. So let's now talk about our sell side and why we might want to be trading in this area. I actually tried to get into both of these, had limit orders placed, and just price never came back for me, right? And I'll explain why I never got tagged on this one, because it does look like price came back in. It was just very, very close, and actually it did come back in and would have tagged me in, but it still wouldn't have worked out. So here's that higher time frame sell primary that's been put in. Here's that last known range that we expect price to hold from, right, to mitigate and then push down continuing lower prices. And so as I'm seeing this happen, so we've got this range here and a break of structure. This has all been activated, which means we can now play off of this for sure. We see price come in here, mitigate and pull price down to here. It does not break structure. So what I was thinking is this is now my my area of interest, right? Because two things are going on. Actually, there's two areas of interest, but this was the first thought that comes through my head. Now we've mitigated this and we've shown unwillingness to break structure just yet. It could mean one of two things. One, we're going to come up and we need to take more from in here before we initiate away, or from above it and initiate away, right? We don't know exactly where. Or the other idea is we're going to come up. Let's just clean that up. We're going to come up and mitigate something, and this is going to remain the high. Okay, so that's my thought process here. And so as I see this occur, and a potential sell primary form as well, look how close to having formed this sell primary is, right? Price has initiated away. There was no entry modal for me. No entry showed up for me until this. And then I see this happen. We range over here, range, initiation, break of structure. Call that the break of structure. You can call this the structure. Doesn't really matter. Range, initiation, break of structure. This range in here comes down, takes the liquidity from that range, making a buy primary. Then immediately it turns into a sell primary, and I see a huge, massive unwillingness for price to want to come back and to stay around in here. So what I'm thinking is this area here is going to become wick, right? And so if we zoom in now we should be able to see how close I came to getting tagged in. And of course, with my spread, it just didn't happen. So price doesn't tag me and initiates away. I think I've lost the trade, and so I take away my limit order. Okay, this happens. It comes straight back up and would have tagged me in and would have given me down to here. So just say 2 or 3 hour, right? Nothing major, and it didn't work out long term. This guy comes up though, and it repeats the same process. Buy primary, sell primary, shows an unwillingness to be up here. And so as soon as we're initiating down here, I'm always looking for a break of structure. Here was my structural break down here. And then I was thinking to myself, keep your limit here and you should be golden. But I didn't. I got rid of my limit order here as well. And there was something that occurred that made me want to do it. What was it? Maybe it was later on in the day. Maybe it was a different trade or something like that. But because I'm not seeing the reason right now as I look at the chart. But there was a reason here that I didn't want to keep a limit order. I think it may be the break in structure. It's gone kind of thing for me. I really do feel like there was something though around this range that I'm not seeing that kept me out of it. What did we mitigate here? Mitigate a beautiful area. Pullback. Maybe it was what we mitigated here. I bet this was a primary of sorts. So let's copy it over to our buy side and just have a look at what it was that mitigated. Okay, yes. Yes. Let's go 1 minute. Sorry, you guys, if the screen is going a bit fast. Okay, so this is a buy primary right here. And so what's happened is we've come into a buy primary, and we're bouncing out of the range that we would expect to have a reaction from. Okay. And so that last known range, right, which is sort of visible like this. And so price has come down to mitigate that in there. And so where is it? Sell side. Sorry, guys. Here we go. So that was why I wouldn't want to keep my order. So as soon as we mitigated that and we start bouncing up, I'm like, hell no, hell no, stop what you're doing. I'm like, you're coming out of a buy primary. Absolutely Do not take that trade. I remembered there was something around this one. Why there was number one, first there was no tag. I didn't get tagged in to here. I was waiting for a break of structure here and then for them to come back up and get me. They just ran with price, ran into a buy primary and slammed up again. So that was a good trade to avoid taking. So I was pretty happy with that. And now I think that was it as far as that is concerned. Now there's just this last trade. Where is it to talk about? No, it wasn't Bitcoin. Let's see. So we got these two. Okay, so now let's talk about this one. I knew there was an extra one in here that I just didn't see. Okay, down to 15 seconds. Don't worry about all the fast movements, you guys. It's hard for anyone. I've seen other people do this as well on videos, and it's just annoying, right? When you see people just zipping through their charts, and you're like, "Shit, dude, slow the fuck down." But it's okay because I will totally explain as best I can anyway what I'm looking at, and when I get to the part of the chart that I need to, I'll stop and explain as much as I possibly can. So this is the trade we're looking at right now. We've covered this one already, and so we've mitigated that range down here, like we're talking about that buy primary. And what that did was create a buy primary. Now, once that buy primary has closed on itself and broken structure, we're no longer worried about well, we are still looking for shorts for sure, but it's different, right? Because now we've got an active buy primary, and the active buy primary will likely get a reaction. So buy primary comes up, it comes all the way down, it comes down to this level here. I'm waiting for price to come back down to here or here. These are the last known ranges. And so it mitigates something here, right? And as I look left, I'm not really loving what I see because in here is such a small range. And so I was thinking to myself, that isn't really much of anything, meaning this one here, this small little range. You see how all this could be considered transitional, just wick, pushed up, pushed down. They haven't spent much time in this area. And so as we push through, now we get to understand what we're doing, right? So we've actually mitigated this kind of range here as price initiated up and away. This was like the very, very first range that was created within this buy primary. So to get a mitigation there, some people would say, Gary, that is a transitional, that is a Toblerone. You should be putting your liquidity symbol down here because we're about to run prices. However, although this is transitional, I want you to think about it, and this is actually helpful for talking about my other long in a moment. But once we mitigated here, look at what you mitigate. And if it lines up with what you're doing, right? For example, buy primary initiates and stops at another buy primary's key location. Where this is not cause. It does end up being cause, but for right this second, in my understanding, we can just assume that that's an initiation and that's going to become a low and continue on. So and this would have been a great entry as well, because you could have said, well, look, we had a sell primary form that broke structure, right? Taking liquidity, breaking structure. And then this guy formed down here as the buy primary. So we had an entry possibility sort of in and around this area here. We would have liked to have seen a break of structure. You could have used one of these wicks. Maybe you could have gotten in here. Who knows? Oh, shit. Sorry. I don't know what I've done. There we go. I pressed the space bar by accident. My chart is super, super laggy. Okay. So, price is initiating away. We come up here. We create the first entry modal, the I spot. And I've missed a bunch today, but it's okay. So how do we conclude it? You can say that this little guy's in here, right? We've got this range, initiation, break structure. I think this is what I was playing off of. And then they came up, took over the liquidity from over here. So we had this range, initiation, break structure. that became liquidity as well. So they came up over two pieces of liquidity. Then they broke down on themselves, right? Leaving this kind of slithery action right here. And lo and behold, as you range initiation, you can see that we broke structure, right? So it was like, where did we break? Was it here? I think it was here. Just slightly. And so that stacks liquidity in and around this area. This becomes the buy primary. We initiate away, and we've got this little sort of slither left in here. Now, as price was initiating away, I could sort of tell it was going sort of fast and furious. It didn't really want to come back. I believe I had this tool something like around here. By the time it got filled, it looked like this. Lucky, lucky I held on. And this one, I didn't really know what to do with it. My first trade, I was like, just go for 5R. And in hindsight, obviously, I wish I had gone for the same profit target and just taken a couple of R here, 3.5 or something. But I just left it alone at 10R, thinking, I really wasn't sort of fully confident in what the market was actually doing at this point. So I left that one as a full 10R, went break even, boom. This one I missed. This one would have been gorgeous. So, we've initiated here. This has been initiated from a buy primary, right? Which was also transitional, like we just talked about. So it was a double. So and it was a cause for a really good initiation, but it also became cause. And so as they came back down in here, I missed this trade, and I was super frustrated by it because I'm looking for like lower time frame things, and this is the kind of thing I was looking at. It's like smaller sort of ranges, 15-second things, and by doing that, I completely missed the higher time frame perspective here that we had in a range, an initiation, the break of structure that added money. They initiated prices above, and then lo and behold, what did we have here? We had here, and did it take structure out here? Yes, it did. It was like a double whammy. It was like a real big gift. And so they left this slither away. I mean, this trade was just so good to be true. This one really did tick all the boxes, and let me talk about it in a little bit more detail here. So as you can see, we have got that sell primary that has fallen on itself, and to activate, we want to see swing structure taken. That's not really swing structure. This would be considered swing structure. So we know we've got kind of this range here that they can dip into if this is going to go long. And so as they come down here, they take the liquidity from below here as well as here. And so that was the key for me, is once they took the liquidity from here, the last thing I need to see is a break in structure. Look where the break in structure was, right? It's right at this area, the slither, the little sort of gap where we can trade. And so the break in structure occurs right here, this bar, right? So it breaks up and breaks up out of our mauve purple box. We could have taken it. Well, yeah, you could take a 2 pip stop on this one, maybe a 1.5. And I believe if you taken a 1.5 on this, you'd have been happy days right there. So there was a missed 10R opportunity. So I was a little frustrated with myself, but it's okay. Then we get to this, so we sort of still watching the charts, sort of letting go of letting things unfold a little bit more here is really the mentality. Let's go into a 1 minute. And because they're pushing prices low, it was kind of tricky. And if you see where we stop and mitigate, it all just made sense, and it also created an entry modal at the same time. So you can see I've got this blue box already drawn out. Again, it's that same buy primary, but it's the very bottom of it, right? And where was it? Was it this range in here? It was here, wasn't it? Was it here down to here? That was it. This should have been a buy primary like this. I talked about it yesterday on yesterday's video. I think it was yesterday, was it? Yeah, maybe yesterday, the day before. This range right here should have been like this and then initiated away. It didn't. Instead it created a double liquidity grab. It grabbed on itself, and so I wrote liquidity grab double. Not typical. It's built for a reason. Now we're understanding what that fucking reason was, right? Because as price has come back in, they've manipulated. They used that as like a massive liquidity grab, and so and look how much they played off of that range. Like if we just grab this whole range here, and where does it go? It goes all the way down to there, right? Look at what they've done. They played off of it so much. It was built for a reason. This range here was a double, and they did it, I believe, for liquidity reasons. It's just how they wanted to do it. You know, it's how they wanted to manipulate to enter into their longs and into their shorts and just to enter into their positions. That is the reason, I believe. So as we see this mitigation occur here, right at the very bottom of that range, and I see this push up, push down, and this value area, I guess you could say, or slither. I've been using the terminology as, which is incorrect. Really, we'll come up with a better word for sure. No willingness whatsoever to trade in here, and I'm looking for a break of structure. I get a break of structure. Then we get range initiation, range initiation. I draw these on to signify that we've had a break of structure and that there's liquidity stacked. It was just a quick drawing of them on. That was when we got this buy primary form in here. Sorry, sell primary. Oh, I seem to keep getting that wrong. Got liquidity here. Soon as price comes up, takes that liquidity. I'm thinking to myself, well, that's interesting. If that is going to be a sell primary, we're going to want it to really realistically break here, right? Or maybe here or down here. And so as I'm sort of drawing this box on, I'm looking at this low here, going, well, if it penetrates this low, I'm not interested of a trade. And then I start to see price reverse, right? And so I'm thinking to myself, this is what the trade idea is going to look like, right? Now I need to wait for a break in structure. And remember, typically, because it's a higher time frame, sell primary, buy primary, and a higher time frame entry modal, I'd be looking for the entry above the pink box, above structure right there. But because I see what's going on, right? Because I see this low hasn't been penetrated, in fact, they made equal lows, I am able just to enter on a very small break of structure. And I think I took it on here. Don't worry about where the actual tool ended up being placed. This was my entry for sure, but it wasn't that it actually got entered and clicked into. I think it must have been around here. By the time I got everything entered in on my broker and whatnot, all the details, of the trade. And so I took that break of structure with the anticipation that it's going to come out of here. And so what I'm really saying to myself is, as it's slowly doing it, I'm like, well, here's what's going to happen. If I'm right, this is going to just keep range initiating on itself, range initiating. And it should just range initiate all the way out of this pink box or mauve box, or purple box, whatever the fuck it is, whatever color it is. Should initiate out of there. And sure enough, I'm already long. We get the initiation out of there. This was a great buy primary to trade off of. So if I wasn't in this trade already, I'd be looking at entering here. Now, I haven't actually seen this. We've been talking on the video, and so I haven't seen what the heck this is. Like if there was a buy primary, if there was a sell primary before, if there was an entry modal, I don't know. We can have a quick look together. But just looking at it, it looks a little bitty. It doesn't look like there's really much going on, especially as there's no structure on the left-hand side either. So I wouldn't really be interested in taking this trade, but I do understand why it's stopping here. It's stopping here because the buy primary open, and they are mitigating something transitional through it as well. So definitely a transitional, definitely a buy primary, definitely something that will become liquidity at one point, we believe. But we can trade off of these for sure because it's mitigated a buy primary and hasn't mitigated just a transitional order block. So as we're looking through, we're trying to see did it go over the top? Did it go over the top? yeah, it kind of mitigates this one here, which, by all intents and purposes, if that took liquidity, that's a sell primary. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky because it's equal highs and stuff like that. So maybe it's over here. Did it take this range out? No, I'm not seeing anything it took out. So it's literally just mitigating by primary on this one. I actually think this will become transitional, and they will come back for it sooner than later. And that's it for today, you guys. So we're gonna see if this takes me out. I am literally waiting on the broker to go. Oh, 4 minutes ago I got taken out. Okay, I didn't even see it on my phone, but 4 minutes ago we got taken out. So we're already 10 hour on that one. So boss move. Good trading. Some interesting trades today. Definitely not loving the break even numbers, but getting a 10 hour again is a big win for me. So aloha, anyone watching. Hope everyone's having a great day, smashing it, loving their lives, and just making a crap ton of money, man. Hope you guys are rocking it. All right, catch up with you guys soon. Peace out.